TNN Motorsports welcomes you to Loudon, New Hampshire. The Busch Grand National North Series. First cousins of the cars that run down south and out west and in the combination races. And the ground pounders of NASCAR. The thrilling slot car-like 600 horsepower modified. That's what you'll see live today on TNN Motorsports. Let's go trackside. And Randy Pemberton.
Thanks, Mike. Well, there'll be a couple of guys doing double duty today in the Busch North and the Modified Series. Both of these guys are stars in the New England, particularly in the Modified division. With me, Mike Stefanik on my left, the Reggie Ruggiero on my right. Questions for both of you guys. First, Mike, you're going to have to make the transition today. Both of you guys jumping out of these heavy cars and into the Modifieds. What's that going to be like?
Well, it's a little intense the first couple laps. You're going around here about 2 seconds faster in the Modifieds. You jump out of the Busch car. You've been driving that car all day long, lifting at a certain point, picking the throttle up a certain way. Then you jump in that Modified, and, it's just like wide open. It takes you a few laps just to get your composure and get your coordination back. It's an intense change. I say happy birthday to my daughter, Nicole, and hello, Christine.
Okay. Reggie also certainly going to be a factor today. Reg, when you jump in the Modifieds, the fans don't get a chance to see these cars very often, but you do draft here on this mile track and use it effectively for passing.
Oh, yes. The Modifieds is a great race because of the drafting. Like I say, we're running the Busch car, and there's really no draft effect to those cars, probably because we're not really going that fast. But with the Modified, you'll see 2, 3, 4 elite changes in one lap because of the draft. And the only way you can master the draft is with experience. We only get to run here 2, 3, 4 times a year. We've been running here probably the last 4 years, so the people that have been around the longest are going to be the people that are going to be up front. I hope I'm one of them.
No doubt about it. Well, they're going to be starting deep in the field for the BGN race. Mike Stefanik will start 19th. Reggie goes off 39th. Where will they start in the Modified race? Well, let's keep that a little bit of a suspense, but they're going to have to come through the field.
TNN Motorsports proudly presents live exclusive coverage of the Slick 50, or Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50, for the Busch Grand National cars and the Modified Shootout. Well, it's been very humid here in Loudon, New Hampshire, and we've had a couple of brief showers come through, and there may be a clearing off shower right behind us. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Joy. When Bob Baer built this beautiful New Hampshire International Speedway from what had been Breyer Motorsports Park, he appealed not only to the New England fans, but the New England race drivers as well, and said there will always be a place for you here in our major weekends. And Busch Grand National North takes center stage. These drivers that come along and run in the combination races with the Busch South drivers, they're stars in their own right. And the Modifieds. For you folks that are new to this division, it's the best racing in this nation you've never seen. They don't get a lot of television exposure, but TNN is proud to bring them to you today. You won't believe how lightning fast they are, how tight they draft, and how quick they move from one lane to another here on the Magic Mile at Loudon, New Hampshire. Got a lot of stories trackside, but we have our own College of Coaches today. We've got quite a passel of experts, and Buddy Baker's here to introduce them to you.
Well, Mike, I feel like I'm in the middle of the Joker and the Riddler here. Of course, everybody knows the Riddler, Darrell Waltrip. Darrell, Busch Grand National North today. There's some differences in these cars. You tell us a little bit about them?
Well, I think the most obvious thing, or not obvious to the viewer, but to the competitors, would be the tires. These tires are bias ply tires like we ran for years versus a radio tire that they're running down south now. There are some differences in chassis. I think there's a little bit difference in motor combinations. There are some V6s in the field that are fairly competitive. Last year, if you recall, a V8 just dominated this race. I think this year there's a lot more V8s in the field. Other than that, I don't know. I might allude to my colleague over here, Jeff, and see if he knows any other differences in the cars.
Well, Jeff Fuller, 1992 Modified Tour champion. You're doing the second part of our show today and helping us with the first part also. Tell us a little bit about the Busch Grand National cars and also a little bit about the Modifieds today.
Well, the Modifieds are 800 pounds lighter. They got a foot more rubber hitting the ground. They got a lot of power, and they draft a lot better than these cars. And you're going to see one whale of a race today. I mean, those Modifieds get down and get funky here.
Well, back to Mike.
Not going to be much elbow room in the booth with those three guys, but the puns are going to be flying, I guarantee you. Let's get down with the front row and meet another member of our TNN broadcast team, the Sunday crew chief on the Winston Cup Haviland Thunderbird, Larry McReynolds.
Thanks, Mike. I'm standing here with today's pole sitter, Andy Santerre. Andy, a couple of weeks ago, Thompson, Connecticut, you sat on the pole and went on to win the race. I think that was your second Busch Grand National North victory. What do you feel like starting on the pole here today? Is that a good sign?
Well, that's a pretty good sign. You know, my wins extend. Lou Plus Chevrolet Monte Carlo has been running really super the last few weeks. The last 4 outings, we haven't been less than third qualifying and had some good runs lately. So here at New Hampshire International, in front of this large crowd and in front of everyone on TNN, this is going to be a great race for us. And setting on the pole means a lot to my crew. I owe it to them. They did a great job for me.
As a crew chief on the Winston Cup circuit, I know we don't look forward to situations like this with a green racetrack that's been rained on. Does this kind of change your strategy just a little bit?
Well, not really. You know, it's going to be interesting to see. I've been here for, this is my 3rd year that I've raced here at New Hampshire International and haven't had this situation, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what the car does. But I got a real good crew, and we can make the chassis adjustments if necessary, and hopefully we won't have to. We got a good neutral race car, and hopefully the track will come to us.
Well, that's one of the young guns here on the front row. I'm going to go back up in the field a little bit. Who's Glenn Jarrett, who's with a lot of experience on the Busch Grand National North Circuit.
Well, you know, there might be youth on the first row, but the second row, 2 of the oldest veterans in Busch Grand National racing, maybe 2 of the oldest veterans in racing across the country. First of all, Stub Fadden, starting his Napa Buick, a little bit back in the field, but you've had some pretty good success, couple wins last year, and what about today, Stub?
Well, today looks pretty good for us. We was pretty good here yesterday in practice, and we started outside the second row, and that's a plus for me because usually I am back here deep in the pack. Napa's made things a little more possible for us to run up front, and I'm really grateful.
Well, now he's been at it a long time. As I said, a couple wins last year. 61 years old. He's a grandfather. Got some grandkids rooting for him. Good luck today, Stub. Now, the guy on my left is a guy that I used to watch when I was 3-4 years old, Dave Dion. Oh, he says that's wrong. Now, Dave is only 51, so he's still a veteran, though, and you have been running great this year.
Yeah, things have turned around a lot, Glenn, and we spoke earlier. The sponsors really have to step up nowadays, and they got to give you the equipment the kids have got, because the kids come in with the best of everything. The veterans try and use the old stuff, and this year they bit the bullet and bought the good pieces, and I think I proved that I've got good people behind me.
Well, he certainly does, and I tell you what, when the race starts, this is always a guy keep your eye on. He moves up forward through the field. He's starting 3rd, so he doesn't have far to go today. Now, let's see. When we add this up, 66 years of racing experience between these 2 guys on the second row. 61 years old, 51 years old. I feel like a kid.
Thank you, Glenn. That is Bob Baer, the gentleman who built this track out of his own pocket. He and his brother Dick ran the bulldozers and helped make this track a reality. He's there with NASCAR's Mike Helton, supervising the track drying operations. There's that little clearing off shower behind us. We'll let you know when it gets here. We'll be right back.
Today, millions of Americans are running faster with the same size engines and farther on the same amount of fuel. Millions have discovered the patented advantages of the split-fire spark plug, a difference that delivers on every stroke of every piston. 5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs, a 4.8% gain in mileage. If you're not running the split-fire, you're probably behind someone who is. Split-fire, more power and more mileage for your money back.
This is Dale Jarrett's NASCAR. You can't get his engine, you can't get his tires, but you can get his motor oil. Texaco Haviland Formula 3. It's formulated to control volatility and fight oil vaporization. It provides complete protection, and it's the exact same Haviland you can buy right off the shelf, which, by the way, is a heck of a lot easier.
Add more life to your car. Take it to the stars.
Dear Midas, my wife's brake light had been flashing on, so we took the car to a repair shop. They failed to properly inspect the brakes and solve the problem. Then we took the car to Midas. Russ did a proper inspection and told me,
Oh, your brake pads are worn, causing your master cylinder to use more brake fluid, in turn causing your light to go on.
Then I got new pads and a guarantee. I should complain to that repair shop, but I wanted to congratulate you instead. Thank you, Dave Buchanan.
He's your best friend, and he's also killing your back. If nothing seems to help, Try Dones. It relieves back pain no matter where it hurts. Dones has an ingredient these pain relievers don't have. Dones, the back specialist.
Work boots. There's one place they don't work. Inside, they just don't have much cushioning. Dr. Scholl's Maximum Comfort work insoles give you 100% more cushioning. They make work easier on your feet.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 on TNN is brought to you by Split Fire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more till you use it. By Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. And by Midas, the Midas way, the way it should be.
I love to quote Mark Twain, but my least favorite quote of his, if you don't like the weather in New England, just wait a minute. It'll change. It was bright and sunny but humid here this morning. This shower system rolled in and really pelted this place with rain for about 20 minutes. And you can see areas of the track graying up and starting to dry. So we'd be close to going racing, but they say there's another shower right behind this one, and hopefully it will miss us as Tropical Storm Barry has kind of gone out to sea, but we're getting the residual effect of it here.
Well, they say they need rain up here, and, you know, we're obliging people. When we come up here from the south, we like to do all we can to make the community happy.
Well, down in the puddles, Randy Pemberton.
Ricky Craven standing here with me. That shower right over our shoulder, Mike. We can see it coming. Another guy that's going to do double duty here this weekend. Of course, Winston Cup here on TNN tomorrow. You're in the Busch North race today. You're in their stomping grounds now. Used to be up here running competitively, winning the series. What's it like coming up here and running their backyard now?
Tell you what, Randy, it took me a lap to remember. Got on the bias ply tires again. Nearly spun out, and I said, now I can remember how to do this, and been enjoying myself. Speedy Oil Change and Tune-Up is a sponsor that responsible for helping me get to the south, and nice to be home, you know, all the fans and the friends and the family, and so thankful that I can spend some time with everyone.
You know, there's been a lot of talk recently about the sway bars in the Winston Cup division and so forth. What about in these Busch North cars? You run them loose in the rear end? Do you have the sway bars to work with? What do you work underneath with the chassis wise?
You know, it would have been a great option, and because we only got 60 minutes of practice, we didn't get to try it. Sat around last night in my bus, and I thought, should we try that? Should we throw it on and gamble? Car's running good enough, so we don't need to gamble. But if I felt like we needed a little bit more, I would have put it on, because it'll help the car turn, and it's a little tight on these tires, but it's not an option in Winston Cup anymore, so that helps make the decision easy.
You ever do any modified racing, Ricky?
Well, I've knocked the fenders off my car, and they look like modified, but I've gotten better at that, and I really admire those guys for what they do, and I like to watch the races, but probably I'll keep my seat up in the stands and just enjoy what they do.
Good luck here this afternoon and tomorrow.
All
Let's
right.
go up with Glenn Jarrett, who's standing by with Kelly Moore.
Okay, thanks, Randy. And Kelly Moore is on the outside of the front row beside the youngster Andy Santerre that Larry talked to just a while ago. And Kelly's a young man. He's only 36, just distinguished gray in his hair, but you're having a great year. You're leading the points, but I looked in the standings now. Ever since I've known this guy, he's run a Chevrolet, but I looked and it says the Tic Tac Ford, but a 9.5 to 1 Ford V8 engine. It's got to be a little different for you.
Yeah, it is, Glenn. You know, the Fords were a little adjustment we had to make. You know, we've got some Chevys left over from last year, and we were trying to use them up. This is the last year NASCAR is going to let us run the V6, so we elected to run the V6 on the shorter tracks and bring the V8s to New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, and the bigger tracks.
Well, now let me get this right. You got a Ford here today, and it's a 9.5 to 1 V8 Ford engine. But when you run a Chevy, you run a V6 Buick. How do you ever remember all this stuff?
Well, we keep it pretty straight. No, the Ford's doing a real good job for us. You know, we come to New Hampshire here. This is the second time here with this car here, and you know, these guys really put a good car underneath, and we set it on the outside pole, and we're really happy for Tic Tac, Auto Palace, Jordan Lumber, Pennzoil, Main Lube.
Let's talk about your year so far. It's going great. As I said, you're leading the point standings, and I know that that's something that Kelly Moore really wants, is that Busch Grand National North Championship this year.
Yeah, it is. You know, these guys have worked real hard all winter long. We've, you know, we put a couple guys on the payroll and really put things in order this year, and we feel that, you know, we've got a good shot at this. We just got to keep looking at the big picture here. You know, Tic Tac got on board with us this year, and we're trying to do a good job for them. We've got one win under our belt. We've had a few races that we've kind of stubbed our toe, but, you know, we're trying to look for the consistency and look at the big picture come the end of the year. We've had a few runner-up positions here in the season championship over the years, and we're going to try to get up on top this year.
Okay, best of luck to you today, Kelly. Kelly has 2 career victories here at New Hampshire, so he's definitely a man to keep your eye on. Easy to see in that bright green and white Tic-Tac Ford. Mike?
Thanks, Glenn. Darrell, I've heard a number of drivers. Larry Pearson, I remember standing on the pit lane at Martinsville as we watched the rain showers off to the northwest here. He was watching the modifieds practice. I said, "Do you ever want to run one of those?" And he said, "No."
No. Well, they're exciting to watch. I mean, it's if you're a racer and you like working on race cars and you're a mechanical minded, you like a car like that because you can be so creative. The rules are almost wide open, and it's what you think about race cars really being like from back in the early days of racing, and it's just fascinating to watch them race and how close they run and how competitive they are, and it's truly a bona fide racing machine.
Big Busch Grand National North modified doubleheader coming your way here on TNN this afternoon as they finish up drying the track. We may get to racing here very shortly, so stay with us.
Let Pennzoil put your backside, trackside.
Play Pennzoil's Brickyard 400 sweepstakes. 10 grand prizes of both a trip for two to the Brickyard 400 and a 95 Chevy Monte Carlo Z34. Over 80,000 other prizes. Enter wherever Pennzoil is sold or installed by the pros.
Brickyard's the game, Pennzoil's the name.
Welcome back to the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 here at Loudoun, New Hampshire. They're finishing up drying the track and introducing drivers trackside. Darrell, what was about doing live television? What was perhaps the strangest thing or most intimidating thing when you first came to live TV that you found different from what you expected?
Well, I love live television. I mean, it's spontaneous, and what you see is what you get, and I think that's what television should be all about. I don't like the stuffed shirt with standing behind a podium or sitting on a stool. I like live TV, and I guess the thing that that people don't realize is how nervous you get. I mean, you're calm and you're cool and everything is fine until that red light comes on. The red light being that means the camera's on. And then all of a sudden, everything you wanted to say, all the thoughts you had, all the smart things, all the cute little remarks you're going to make, they go away and you can't remember any of them.
You get most of them in. Jeff, what'd you find yesterday? Your first exposure to television here, and what'd you find that was most different than what you expected?
I honestly never realized how much behind the scenes there is. I mean, those people at TNN work their butts off over there with the in the trailers, you know, taking a 5-minute interview or making it into 12 seconds. You just don't realize, you know, how much is involved until you've actually seen it like that.
Let's see, how many takes did it take you to do your feature?
No, it only took me, it took Buddy 4.
Oh, count his.
Yeah.
Jeff has posterior.
Oh, okay. I think it's old in senility.
All right.
That's it. Out.
That's it. It started. We better go trackside with Larry McReynolds.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm standing down here on pit road, and I was trying to find some familiar faces. And I knew there was no way they could run a race without Kenny Schrader. Kenny, a Busch Grand National North race. Whose car are you driving?
Mike Greasy's car. It's a real good little car. We just might be a little down on the engine. We brought a 6-cylinder, but it's a long race. We'll just see what happens.
Was there a reason they brought a V6, or is that basically all they had?
They got a real good V8, and it's up in one of the team car that's starting in the second row or something. But, you know, if we wanted to come run, we had to run the V6, which is no problem. I'm just glad to run for these guys.
Okay, again, I knew they couldn't run a race without Kenny Schrader, so we'll watch him as he progresses during the day. All right, we're going to go down to Randy Pemberton, who's further down pit road.
Well, Jan Leedy back here, timed the engine on his modified. He's on the pole here for the second of the doubleheader here today. Like we were just talking, I asked you if you'd won a race. You have won one, but not in the Tour Series. Of course, the modified tour that runs particularly in the Northeast. What about today?
Well, I think we have a really good shot today. I got a really good car under me, and the Hoosier tires that we brought here have been really, really good through practice. Really consistent, and they've been lasting really well, so I like our chances.
We saw you timing the motor. Of course, the crews are much smaller in the modified as well as the Busch North Series. Do a lot of your own work on these cars?
Well, it's really difficult for us. You know, we're 8 hours from home right here, and to ask somebody to take Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off to come up here and race is difficult week in and week out, and so it's hard. You know, we have kind of a small crew, but I have a really great crew of guys that really know what they're doing, and we all kind of have our own jobs, and the engine's one of the things that I take care of.
When this thing hits the ground running, what's a package like this worth?
Well, geez, if you pay the price, a race car and an engine's about $45,000, but of course, that just gets you started. You got to have the transporter and the spare equipment and all the other, you know, tire change tools and radios, and goes on and on. So it's a pretty big investment.
You pretty much got to love it then.
You really got to love it.
Okay, back to you guys.
And he's good at it. Darrell, look at this car, and you see the front tire sitting there on it. Of course, there's no left rear on it right now, but that's, Jeff, how wide is that front tire?
That's 13 inches wide.
Darrell, how'd you like to have that on your Winston Cup car?
I would like to have that, and nobody else had it. That would be a real advantage.
Mike, I watched him practice just a little while ago. He needs that left front.
And about three
I'm
more
not very
like
good. You know, if Schrader had paid those guys more, he could have gotten a better engine in that car.
Well, see, Jerry Marquis is running for the championship, so he gets his first choice of engines. He got the V8, and Schrader gets the V6, and he'll find a way to get the job done.
See, a lot of people don't know about Schrader. The reason he drives all these races, he goes around and pays people to let him drive.
That's not what Mike Ricci said, and he owns the car. Look at this crowd here for Saturday. They're anticipating a start here in just a few minutes. So stay with us from Loudon, New Hampshire, live on the Nashville Network.
This is the Texaco Haviland stock car. And this is the Texaco Haviland Indy car. And while these cars run on special fuels, we figured it was still a good way to remind you that Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines give your car unsurpassed performance. And Texaco Haviland Formula 3 motor oil and Texaco antifreeze coolant provide complete protection. But if we really wanted you to remember our name, maybe we should have sponsored something slower.
To run 300 mile an hour in a quarter mile feels kind of like sitting at a stoplight and get rear-ended at 100 mile an hour by an 18-wheeler.
The NHRA on TNN Motorsports. It doesn't get any closer.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. A few drops beginning to fall from that clearing off shower we promised you, and then we're going to get to racing here. But first, the AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,000 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, best parts in auto parts. And here, Darrell, are the differences between the Busch Grand National and Busch North Series.
Yeah, there's not a lot of differences, but they're very subtle. For instance, the roof flaps that are required on a Busch car down south are not required here. Cambered rear ends, which are very important with radial tires, not nearly as important with bias tires, and that's not allowed in the Busch North Series either. Engine-wise, they're pretty much the same. You can run either one, and of course, down south they only run the Goodyear tires. Up here they run the McQuarrie tires. So there's not a lot of differences, but there is subtle differences.
Well, Mike, one reason they don't have the roof flaps and all that is most of the racetracks, this is their biggest racetrack that they compete on. So they really don't need the flaps like the guys that run in Atlanta and Charlotte and places like that in the Busch Grand National down south. But the modifieds, boy, they draft and everything. This is their Daytona.
Yes, it is. Let's go trackside with a former winner of the Ferrara 100. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Did I win that? No. Oh, this guy must have. I'm standing by with Flying Brian Ross now. If there's a man down here that can tell you about the differences between these modifieds and the Busch Grand National North cars, it's this guy. He raced the modified tour, the modifieds in the Northeast, for about 20 years. In his third year in the Busch Grand National North, Brian, you've already got a victory in your first year, and things are coming along pretty well for you.
Yeah, our team's come together real well, and, you know, we've been about 3 years building it, and we're getting a lot of equipment and some good cars now and good engines from Performance Technology out there in Indiana, and we're making a mark here now.
All right, what, you know, at a place like New Hampshire where you got these long straightaways, what's the biggest single thing that a driver from one division, from the modifieds to the Busch Grand National North, what's the biggest difference?
Well, I think that the biggest difference in the two cars is the how fast things happen in a modified car. I mean, it's instant speed when you come off the corner, and the tires are so wide and the cars are so low that you can pull a lot of G-force and speed through the corners. You have to be very careful with those cars because things happen so fast. On the other hand, these Busch cars, they're kind of big and boxy, and they roll around and all. And what you have to be careful of there is not how fast things happen, but be careful of them getting away from you when the track conditions change like they are here today.
Well, as I said, this man does well. He told me he doesn't always qualify that well, but he said keep your eye on him during the race. He's a good racer. He's a good friend. He's been around a long, long time. Best of luck to you today, Brian. Now, I think Randy Pemberton has caught up with another modified guy. He's with Ed Flemke.
That's correct, Glenn. And, you know, you talk about the competitiveness of auto racing in general. You look at the Winston Cup Series. Some fans might go, boy, this guy's been driving 10 years. He can't win a race, or he's only won one race. Eddie Flemke, you know what that's like. You've been struggling for years to make it. Your dad was one of the greatest modified drivers that ever lived. but it didn't come so easy for you. Talk about the competitive nature of the modified series.
Well, the modifieds are a very, very competitive series. So we're lacking with the corporate sponsors. We don't have a lot of that help. So everything's out of pocket, basically. You know, that's part of it. The crews are out of pocket funded. You know, the guys have a full-time job. They work on the car when they can. And the drivers are all trying to get somewhere. And they're trying to prove that they can do it. And, you know, like myself, I want to stay in the modifieds. I won't ever move up to the Busch or the Winston Cup. I mean, it would be nice. I think I could do well up there, but my place is here. And modified is in my heart. So it's my father's heart. And I want to continue that. But it is awful competitive, and a lot of it's due to everybody. It's a stepping stone division, so everybody's doing the best they can to go on to tomorrow, you know. So you got tough guys to run against, you know.
Well, another quick question. What about the sponsorship package? We hear things like $3, $4, even $5 million now in the Winston Cup division. What does it take for you guys to run these cars?
We're probably looking at a $200,000 a year budget. About, I would say that's accountable. You know, it's kind of hard to tell because, like I said, all our help is out of pocket funded. They pay their own motels, they pay their travel, food, etc. So it's pretty hard to put a number on it. But I'd say you're probably looking at, you know, 250,000. I mean, I know ourselves last year we spent about 160 for our team last year.
Don't leave your sponsor out.
No, Hummel Brothers Deli Products. Eat hot dogs, guys. You know, they're great. You know, I mean, they've been good to me, and it's a family. It's what I like about that company. It's a family company, just like my family was in racing. They've been around a long time. It's 4 generations now, so good quality product. Yep.
Well, they don't get a lot of airtime, so they don't think about it a whole lot like you guys in the Cup division. Buddy, Mike, all you guys up there?
Thanks, Randy. In fact, John Hummel's dad was not too happy when John took the weekend off from the big 4th of July and Special Olympics down in Connecticut. He says, we got to go racing. So we're going to be up here, and John's up there twisting wrenches on that modified number 11. You saw how professional those teams are. There's Bob Bear watching his track dry out. They put the drivers in the cars, and we're going to come back racing here at New Hampshire after this.
It doesn't get any closer.
Last year, it was a Winston Cup war. Ernie Irvin's early lead got pushed in the dirt, but Ernie clawed back, then got loose, yielded to the man in black. In the end, Ricky Rudd's late race spin cycle laundered Earnhardt and gave Ricky his first win as an owner. It's the Winston Cup Slick 50 300, Sunday, 1 p.m., noon Central on TNN Motorsports.
It's going to be a wide-open paint-swapping war.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. The track is just about dry. A little dampness on pit road. Let's go right down to Larry McReynolds.
Thanks, Mike. I'm standing here with Mike Laughlin, Jr. And for the race fan that's a little bit familiar with Winston Cup racing, his dad probably builds 80% of the Winston Cup chassis that's right over in the garage area right now, and probably just as many of these Busch Grand National North cars. Mike, are you going to pursue race driving, or are you planning on maybe following in your dad's footsteps with the chassis building?
Well, right now we plan on doing some racing. I first just started out with it just as a hobby, and I started doing pretty good in it, and so we're just going to pursue it and see what happens.
Well, I'd say if there's anybody that's got the inside scoop on what's happening new, I would say it would be this man right here. I believe we're about ready to go racing, so we're going to let Mike get buckled in, and I'm going to throw back to the guys in the booth.
Thanks a lot, Larry. We are set to go here at Loudon, New Hampshire. 150 miles for these Busch Grand National competitors, and the modifieds will have a 40-lap race, and unlike last year's, it will be 40 green laps. The caution laps will not count, so it should be a lot of fun. And Darrell, as you look down here, and I see so many of these blank quarter panels or local businesses on these cars, and fellows that are trying in this showcase that somewhere among these 60,000 people that will be here today might be somebody to sponsor one or more of these race cars.
Well, they might be, and I know these guys talk a lot about sponsors, and of course that's what it takes to make a race car go fast. Dollars buy speed, as we always said. But it was interesting to me, as everybody's talking about sponsors, a little airplane just flew by here pulling a banner wishing Stub McFadden good luck in the number 16 car. So somebody's got enough money to rent an airplane and pull a banner around anyway.
So the car covers are coming off, and there it goes. Go Stub Fadden.
Team Napa. That's who
Kelly Moore leads the point standings. Dave Dion is just 58 points back, 31-year veteran. Mike Stefanik, who had a brief fling at the Busch South Series, went up for a cup of coffee, as they say in baseball, and is now running Busch North, hoping to get back down south. Stub Fadden, age 61, fourth in the tally. And Brian Ross, who has always been a very consistent runner in the modifieds, he is in 5th place in the point standings as we get set to go racing. Bobby Dragon, another former champion of the old NASCAR North. Tom Bowles, second-year driver, who has John Munson, Ricky Craven's former Busch crew chief, running his team. There's Jerry Marquis, who drives for the Gricci brothers, Mike and Harry. Dale Shaw, the defending champion of this series for Quinn Boisvert, and Andy Santerre, the leader of the Young Guns in this series. He is the Jeff Gordon of the Busch Grand National North Series. Young, personable, a lot of experience, and a charger to the front.
Yeah, we saw him run very well here, I think, 2 years ago. I think he was, wasn't he driving the 15 car?
He was driving
Yes.
the 15 and led most of the way and had almost a half a lap lead and crashed in turn 4 up here.
Yeah, so he does have a lot of talent, and I'm sure he's got a lot more experience. That was a couple of years ago.
Bill Duggan strapping in as we get set to go here. They had nearly, I heard, 74 cars signed in to try to qualify for this race. As you look over at Jeff Gordon's car in the Winston Cup garage, being prepared for tomorrow's Slick 50 300.
Yeah, those guys are not down there watching this race. Everybody in the Winston Cup garage is changing engines and making adjustments to the cars for happy hour, which will follow these 2 events. So those guys are all working real hard. They don't even know a race is going on.
Darrell, let's talk about the sealer on this racetrack. They sealed the low groove, and the drivers have told us that's produced some very interesting handling.
It has. You know, we didn't realize that, and of course you go out on the racetrack and it's black and it looks normal. You go in and hit that extra black spot right there, that darker spot, and that's been sealed. And the reason for that is the track tore up here the last couple of years. They've tried very, very hard to come up with some sort of a surface that won't tear up, short of putting down concrete. I don't think they want to do that. So they put this new asphalt down, put the sealer on it. So far, so good. We haven't had a problem, but it is slick. And you go into turn 3, one time you go in and you make it just fine, and next time you go in, you might push all the way to the fence. So it's causing some problem for everybody.
Well, Darrell, you're looking at where they resealed in the corners there. Just outside there, that's a lot of racetrack, but it's non-usable. If you get out there, we watched a lot of people in practice, and you get out there, you just have to stop and start over again.
Yeah, it gets so much dirty, so much trash up there, and some of the rubber off the tires and some of the asphalt sheds, and gets pushed up high there, and you go straight into the fence if you get up in that loose stuff.
Now, Jeff, weren't some of the modified drivers saying yesterday they could change the handling on their car by putting the left wheels down on the new surface and the right tires out on the old surface?
Yeah, you know, with those cars, 13-inch tires compared to 10-inch tires on these cars, they'll try anything they can to get in there and get through there a little quicker. They're a lot more forgiving. They're closer to the ground. Center of gravity's a lot lower, and you can take a few more chances than you can in the Busch cars, but I'll tell you, that sealer is, they even not complain, but going into turn 3, the car even feels different.
Yeah, both ends of the track are different. 1 and 2 is pretty good. 3 and 4, totally different than it was last year, but I don't know what anybody said about running right side tires up out of that stuff on the outside line, but I'm going to bet you $100 that they all go into turn 3 on the apron. Everybody will be trying to get down there.
It's going to look like Milwaukee, where everybody ran down on the apron.
Oh, yeah,
last week.
You get more bite down there.
So we're about to fire the engines. The drivers for both events have been introduced, and the track trucks are being pulled off. That means we're ready to start this race. Thanks for bearing with us. Let's go racing on TNN after this. The Slick 50 300 will be live from Loudon, New Hampshire. Join the TNN team here tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time for live coverage of the Winston Cuppers. Ricky Rudd, the defending champion. Mark Martin is on the pole. And Darrell Waltrip starts
30 seconds.
Well, join us anyway, folks. That's tomorrow.
Well, I'm starting, I got to get in there somewhere. Yep. It's just a place to start.
There's the pole sitter, Andy Santerre, getting set to go to work from his Mobile office.
Looks to me like he knows we got a camera in his car.
We got one sitting right outside it.
Yeah.
Mike, you see on his right shoulder there, that's part of the seat now. A lot of guys are getting rib injuries, and they've added this to the seats, and it actually, Darrell, your seat's like that now. You don't even use the rib part of the seat.
No, this is a shoulder support that was added to, that's a butler's seat, and some of the seats that some of the guys are starting to use doesn't have this bottom piece down here that you see right directly under his arm, and they're going more to a shoulder support. The shoulders will support about 400 pounds of pressure, and the ribs only 200 pounds of pressure. So trying to what in the world? Speaking of pressure.
Oh, that's Dick McCabe.
Oh, McCabe.
The Irish Angel, Ken Squire nicknamed him. He's won a lot of races here on the North Tour, and he will retire at the end of this season.
Well, if you notice, Mike, a cigar is only about half. It's just enough to run 150 miles. That's all it is. That's not a whole cigar.
That's just a restrictor plate. You see?
Fisher Snowplows entry for Dick McCabe.
Hey, he'll be a factor, too.
Yep.
He'll be up there in the front.
Longtime champion up here. Well, they're pulling away the mobile stage, and they're about to fire the engines here at New Hampshire International Speedway. 150 miles of Busch Grand National racing, and then don't miss the 40-lap modified shootout. It's unlike anything on pavement, folks, on a track of this size.
Well, Mikey said it all just a second ago. It's the best race you've never seen before. It's a great race, and so many great drivers have come up through that division and went on in the Winston Cup, and it used to just be the spigot for everybody to come through this area and then go into racing.
Well, Randy Pemberton, how damp is it there on pit road?
I'll tell you, it's damp, guys. You know, they don't have the blowers and the dryers that we do in the Winston Cup division to dry this pit road. It's pretty wet. They've had the sweepers out here a little bit cleaning it up, but now the sun, as I speak, begins to pop out, and that will certainly help to dry it. You know, one other issue, adding to the thing about the track and trying to get to the bottom groove, a lot of chatter on the radios already to these drivers about the rubber, that hard driving rain we had here a few minutes ago. Maybe that's washed away some of the rubber on the racetrack. They're saying, get that thing to the bottom if you can do it, and do it in a hurry, as they fire them up here on pit road.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, certainly. The pits is not a real big factor. They're only going to change they got 4 tires. They can change 1 tire per position and only can change 2 of them at a time, so they're probably not going to pit a lot for tires.
Well, let's have a look at the starting lineup for today is Auto Palace 150. On the pole, Andy Santerre, second pole of the season. Kelly Moore, the point leader alongside. Row 2, Dave Dion, the winner at Holland, New York, and Stub Fadden in the top 5 in points. Then it'll be Jerry Marquis, the runner-up at Jennerstown, and Martin Truex, the defending champion of this race. Keith Lamell has 2 top 5s this year, and Brian Ross ran 3rd here in April. Row 5, Bobby Dragon, the winner at Lee, New Hampshire, and Jeff Berry. In row 6, Joe Bessie, a 2-time winner here, and Robbie Crouch, the Jennerstown winner. Row 7, one of the leading rookies on the tour, Denny Doyle, and Ricky Craven, a 2-time winner here in '91. Jamie Obey, a 3-time Busch North champion, and Ted Christopher, one of the twin brothers from Connecticut that race modifieds regularly. Row number 9, defending series champ Dale Shaw, and Tom Bowles, who has had the highest finishes in the combined Busch North and South races. Mike Stepanek won here in April. Dick McCabe, the 1992 and 93 series champion. Carlton Roby and Brad Bennett share row 11. Glenn Sullivan and Winston Cupper Ken Schrader, row 12. John Swanson and Brad Layton, row 13. Then Derek Lynch, the runner-up at Scarborough, Maine, and Jeff Spraker. Paul Spencer, doesn't he look like Jimmy's youngest brother? He is. And Mike Laughlin Jr. Harmon Beaver Dragon makes his 2nd start of the year, and Babe Branscombe. John Preston and Raleigh McDonald in the 17th row. Bill Dugan and New Hampshire rookie Bill Penfold from Maine. Brandon Butler and Bobby Gaeta from Connecticut. Reggie Ruggiero makes his first Busch North start of the year, the modified ace, and Don Forty. G.G. Gravel and Ron Thiel Jr. off Long Island in row 21. Eric Bodine, that is Brett, Jeff, and Todd's cousin, and Barney McRae are the provisional starters. Your AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 1,000 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, best parts in auto parts. Up to 44 cars in this field for 150 laps. Mike McLaughlin, the current Busch Grand National star, is the race record holder.
Yeah, you know, there may not be any familiar faces, but there's certainly a lot of familiar names with the Bodines, the Spencers, and those bunch that we've watched down south a lot.
And we're racing live here on TNN, the Nepotism Network. And we'll be right back as the engines are fired and we get ready to roll off here at New Hampshire for 150 miles.
The Winston Cup Slick 50 300 Sunday on TNN Motorsports.
When it comes to Talladega, there's only one speed, flat out.
At the fastest track in the world, you either find the groove or lose ground fast.
Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. We're on the pace laps here for the Auto Palace 150. Mike Joy with Darrell Waltrip, Buddy Baker, Jeff Fuller, and down on pit road, Randy Pemberton, Glenn Jarrett, and Larry McReynolds. The Don Ling Racing number 6, the Auto Palace Valvoline Pontiac of Robbie Crouch, the Tampa Tornado. We'll have our in-car cameras today. There's a look at his race cam. Crouch 14th in the standings. Just 3 points out of gaining a position there. There's the roof cam.
Yeah, we need to keep a close eye on all those cameras on this first lap, because I got a feeling the track's going to be a little different than what they remember it being.
Yes. Out the rear view and out in the right side.
I think Robbie, they're saying 5.
And out the right side. 5 pace laps. And we'll go green. We'll also have, thanks to Racing Electronics, in-car communication with Crouch, Ricky Craven, Andy Santerre, and Kelly Moore.
Racing's fun, isn't it? Well, just a few minutes ago, the track was wet, and it was cloudy, and it was raining. Everybody was kind of walking around. What are we going to do? Here we are, ready to go racing. The sun's about to come out.
Look at this.
Bob Dragon's pit. Guess what his sponsor makes?
They needed a bunch up here in the winter, I guess.
Now, who is this? This Mike Laughlin Jr.?
I don't know, but he must...
Oh, that's Mike Stefanik.
He must be hard to stop.
The Burnham... Yeah.
Oh, stop, please stop.
That's the Burnham Boilers team. And Richard Petty autographed that sign. I think Richard Petty's autographed about everything.
Yeah, I think he has.
If he hasn't signed it, I don't know what it is. Now, you're talking about how damp the track apron looked.
Yeah, well, Buddy observed it. Going into 1, it's pretty wet down low. But going into 3, and that seems to be really and truly, I think you'll find everybody will drop that left wheel down on the apron getting into 3. That looks to be fairly dry. So I don't think we'll have a problem other than the sealer's going to be slicker because some of the rubber's been washed off of it.
And pit road is drying out. So, folks, we have 3 pace laps before we go green. We're going racing. So how about stay with us here, and we'll be right back for a green flag at Loudon, New Hampshire for the Auto Palace 150 and the modified shootout. Don't leave. Well, folks, about 2 hours ago, we were ready to load the Sea-Doos up from Lake Winnipesaukee and bring them right down here and run them around the Speedway.
Yeah.
And now we're set to go racing. So thanks for bearing with us. Looks like we're just 2 laps away from the drop of the green flag. 150 miles for the Busch Grand National North cars. And then, now none of these caution laps have counted. And then it'll be the modifieds for 40 green laps in their shootout. Joe Bessie coming to make a stop on pit road.
Now, you remember Mike last year, the same thing happened to him. I think he got ready to start the race, and he got a couple of laps down. He ran really well, made them up, and I don't know what's wrong with him today.
Well, they do have the hood up on it, so it's something amiss.
Delco Remy number 1 for the Scarborough Maine driver. And also just ahead of him, John Swanson III.
Now, I tell you, that's interesting. I mean, they're making a chassis adjustment, and they haven't even dropped the green flag yet.
Well, now, in fairness, Darrell, when they rolled these cars out to the line and weren't allowed to touch them, it was dry then. It had not rained, so
yeah, I
maybe
guess
they're from up here. Maybe they know something we don't.
Nothing like local knowledge.
How about it, Randy?
Well, I'll tell you, the tires not going to be a tremendous issue here today, as Darrell already alluded to. They're only going to get to change 1 set. But one of the big things is they do work with stagger. These are bias ply tires. They run about 18 pounds of air pressure on the left side. They can mess with them a lot, about 28 pounds on the right. And they'll work with stagger a lot, just like the good old days of the Winston Cup Series when guys used to work with stagger, go from the rear of the pack to the front of the pack in no time. They'll change the stagger. They're looking for about 2 inches in the rear of these cars from right to left. And, of course, they measure them with a tape measure just like they used to, like the good old days. Mike?
Thanks, Randy. 1 lap, we'll go racing.
Yeah, I talked to Schrader, and he said that his car was pushing pretty bad. He said it come in, they didn't change anything, just the stagger, went back out, and it was perfect. Of course, we don't have that option anymore with the radial tires. It's what it is what you see is what you get on those. But with the bias, they can play around, and it can make a big difference.
2 Buicks, 2 Oldsmobiles in the field to add to the Chevys, Pontiacs, and Fords. Ken Millett is the district manager for Pontiac up here in New England, and he is largely responsible for so many of the cars on this series and in the modifieds wearing Pontiac sheet metal. He's been a big booster of the sport, formerly Pontiac's motorsports director in Michigan, and he really keeps the flames lit for the Tin Indian here in New England.
Well, Pontiac's really a popular car right now, and I think everybody's looking to the future for that car, too, with their 96 car that's going to be very similar to Monte Carlo. I think everybody's positioning themselves to be in line to get one of those.
Ken says the new Street Grand Prix for 96 is better in the wind tunnel than the racing Monte Carlo. Wow.
Wow.
We'll see. Let's go racing, folks, for 150 miles. The Busch Grand National cars get the green flag. Dave Dion looking low in that blue and orange Ford, but it is Kelly Moore, the Tic-Tac Ford, up the outside.
Well, we were talking about the outside groove. It's established pretty quick that they can get through that corner on the outside. Kelly Moore takes the lead down the back straightaway.
Yep. for long.
Not for long, no, but a lot of times, ooh, that's close. A lot of times what happens is everybody fights for the inside, and you can pass a lot of cars on that outside lane because everybody's fighting and slowing down to get to the inside.
Andy Santerre will lead the first lap. Kelly Moore is second. Stub Fadden is third. Dave Dion holding on to the fourth spot, and Jerry Marquis is fifth. Single file through the top 8 positions now.
You can see Santerre getting in that corner just a little bit hot there, and he swept out just a little bit. Look at this side-by-side racing though, Mike.
10th on back, Jeff Berry. Then the number 30, that's the rookie, Denny Doyle, who's carrying at no charge the U.S. bobsled team colors today, trying to raise funds for that noble effort. Bob Cuneo, who works a lot with Jeff Bodine, has also been an advisor to the Doyle family racing operation. And now we're 3 wide with Dale Shaw looking underneath the Bud 41 of Jamie Obey.
Yeah, I'm glad he used better, a little bit better judgment there than to try to carry it into that turn 3 wide.
This is the camera on top of Crouch's car there. You can see that the 41 of Obey got sideways getting up out of that corner.
3 wide again. There are 3 deep going into turn 3. Who's going to give? Ooh, that's close. They get it down to double file. 73 Brian Ross just ahead of Robbie Crouch. They fight for 11th place.
With some tight racing right now.
Dion going at it with Jerry Marquis, who was the pole sitter here earlier this season. 51, the Wheels Auto Supply car.
Stub Fadden in the 16 there. He's kind of leading that group off the corner there, but they're side by side behind him.
And 56 Martin Truex, last year's winner, the Blount Seafood Chevy, right in there with them.
You know, they talk about drivers getting excited and pumped up before a race starts, and I just wonder if Stub got excited then, and I just wonder how excited he gets after being in racing all these years.
Jumpstart the pacemaker on 61-year-old Stub Fadden.
They talk about heart rate and everything. I wonder what his comes to.
It's pretty good.
Daryl, that's what we call casual contact there, but it was about to get serious. Coming up out of turn 4, the car is light there anyhow. So if you get touched there, you can spin around.
Yeah, well, you notice those Stub, he says, I think I'll let these guys go on by me. They're bothering me. They're worrying me.
Martin Truex started in 6th. Has now moved himself up to 4th place.
We'll probably see some cars go through some transition, Mike, where the track conditions are suitable to some cars, and as the track gets rubber down on again and things change a little bit, it might be more suited to some of the others. So we could see some transition here as far as cars going forward and going back.
Bobby Dragon, Buick 71, or Pontiac rather, drifting back a spot. Now Denny Doyle, the rookie driver, unsponsored but having a great season out of the Watertown, Connecticut area, moving up and underneath in that white number 30. Doyle, the track champion in the Pro Stocks last year at Stafford, Connecticut, makes the move up to Busch North.
Well, he's doing a good job. The car's running well.
Now there's Dick McCabe and Kenny Schrader in 52, second Wheels Auto Supply entry of the Gricci brothers. From Robbie Crouch, looking back at series champ Dale Shaw.
Whoa, Dale. Dale made it close there, but he's coming on the outside. If he makes that move, Mike, we have an Attaboy award. He's fixing to get it, I believe, because he's going. It looks like he's really making the move on the outside.
Dale Shaw makes it work. Brian Ross comes up, covers the spot.
You can make it work a little for a little while. I think everybody's still working real hard to run that bottom lane, and you can get up on the outside and go on by those guys.
Daryl, he's giving these guys the shadow of a doubt there, moving on the outside, because that is a blind spot when you start up on the outside here. A lot of times you look in the mirror and you don't see the car on the outside, and you put him right in the wall.
That's where your spotter has to really be on his toes and tell you where that car is, because you can get on the outside of a guy and, man, he'll slam you into the wall, and he doesn't mean to.
Big battle here back at about 11th spot. There's Jamie Obey in 41. 76 is Tom Bowles. Of all the combined Busch North and South races, that 76 car of the North drivers has the best record. And they are without a sponsor. Bowles Motors in Ellington, Connecticut. The family business backs that race car.
That was Ricky Craven working on the outside of him in that 20 car.
Yep, Craven will move up a notch. Well, will he?
Yeah. That's the thing about the outside. It's going to work, and then you're going to lose, you're going to gain.
Whoa. He and Bowles get together. That's Mike Stefanik in 09, the Burnham Boilers car, getting underneath.
That was just about what I was trying to explain just before we got on Ricky Craven here. You're on the outside there. If they move out any at all, you're pretty much in trouble.
Yep.
It looked like he got a little bit loose coming up off the corner there, and that was close.
Right behind, 13, Ted Christopher. Up to second place, Jerry Marquis in 51. Remember, that's the car that in May, the car owners, Mike and Harry Grieche, were back at the flower shop fixing up Mother's Day bouquets. They couldn't be here to watch it run. They're here this weekend.
We got Beaver Dragon in the pit. I don't know what his problem is, but just see him come with a hood up.
And earlier, just before the start, we had Joe Bessie in the pits. Larry McReynolds, what happened to Joe?
Well, I've been standing in the Joe Bessie pits talking with his crew chief. Right from the minute that they cranked the motors, the engine was just flat and didn't have no power. They come in before the start of the race, looked at spark plug wires, ignition wires, things of that nature. Didn't really find anything. Most of these Busch North cars only have one ignition system in them. Unlike the Winston Cup cars, where even though we hate to carry the weight, we run 2 complete systems where our driver can throw a switch and at least eliminate to see if that's the problem. So there's not a whole lot they can do. If they get a lengthy caution, they may explore it a little further.
Thanks, Larry. We have 11 of 150 laps complete. There's Kelly Moore, the Alan Avery, or rather the Tic Tac Ford. It is this year. The former Jordan Lumber Brooks is on that car as well.
That's Martin Truex there in the 56 just behind him. Truex really gets around this racetrack very well. You see him closing in on 4th place there. Or 3rd place, excuse me.
Martin Truex, defending champion of this event here, did some modified racing before moving to Busch North. I said Alan Avery, he used to own a car sponsored by Tic Tac, but that Kelly Moore car is owned by Roxanne Moore, and we'll be right back. Moments ago, the lead changed. Jerry Marquis, who won a modified tour race last year in a car that he hopped in on race day at Riverside Park, Mario Fiore's 44, now running the Busch North Circuit, has taken the lead in Mike and Harry Grieche's 51, a car formerly driven to victory here by Mike McLaughlin. And Andy Santerre drops to second. Here's how it happened in the backstretch.
Yeah, he just got a real good run off of turn 2 over there, and that car's pretty quick down the straightaway. Did a little drafting. You can get a little draft here, not a lot, and got down low and got under the 44 and took the lead.
Darrell, you could see him going in that corner then, and it looked like Santerre really checked up. Well, you do here.
Yeah.
You give and take a lot on this racetrack.
Yeah, you don't really want to go in on the outside if you can help it.
Now here's Dale Shaw, number 7, and Jeffy is still working that outside.
You know, I was just asking Darrell when we were on break. That car seems to be working real good on the outside, and I was just wondering maybe when the fuel got burnt off or whatever, is he turning so good now that he's going to loosen up later on?
Well, that's what I think. The car, see, the car's losing a little bit of ground now, and I think as the tires wear down a little and the fuel burns off, and the track's going to change considerably, that car may not be working that well later on.
Yeah, he started in 17th. He's up to what? 7th, 10 positions.
Yeah, but he's kind of tapered off right where he is. He hadn't really been going forward that quickly lately.
Battling Keith Lamell in 98 for 6th, and Bobby Dragon in 71.
Yeah, even in the middle there, it almost looks like he's...
Yeah, see his left front wheel, how it's really turned.
Yeah, you can see it'll snake a little bit off that corner there. The back jumped out just a little bit. But the good part about this, if he's really quick right now and he can really get track position, make his pit stop, adjust on that car, you want the car to run good all day long.
Imagine if he could hear us, he'd say, boy, y'all leave me alone. My car ain't that bad.
and he's about to show us.
Yeah.
6th place against Keith Lamell on the bottom of the racetrack. Dale Shaw.
Yeah, I'd take that loose right there.
Well, he's having to work the throttle right there, buddy. He can't come off there wide open, or he would have shot right past the 98 car, but having to work the throttle a little bit to keep the car down.
Right there is where you were talking about that salient.
Whoa! Bobby Dragon almost got in the side of the 98 car just then.
He just lost a toe off his snowshoe right there. No harm done. They continue 7th and 8th. Up front, Jerry Marquis, the modified ace from Enfield, Connecticut. Started off in figure 8 racing.
Wow.
Boy, that'll teach you timing.
It sure will. Tell you, it doesn't take much time to figure out you need to do something else.
I think you're right.
That's Joe Bessie in the 1 car there. He's off the pace pretty bad down the straightaways. Apparently, whatever the problem was earlier, when he stopped on the front straightaway there, he has a big problem.
Poor Joe Bessie. I mean, I have seen him run some well over races. Had a great race car. I think the guy has probably the worst luck of anybody in racing. And I know this is an important race to him. And he's worked hard to keep a sponsor on that car. Good guy, hard racer. just has bad luck.
And let's give him credit. When the motor went flat, he could have taken that car to the garage and said, well, you know, we're not going to run today. But he's out there trying to get what he can get. Second place, Martin Truex, the defending champ of this race, pulls alongside Andy Santerre, the 26-year-old from Augusta, Maine. But he's not going to get it done this time.
No, he's getting in the corner real well, but just a little loose off, looks like.
When we were here last year, Truex had tremendous power down the straightaway.
Well, he did. He could kill him down the straightaway.
You see, Bessie, there, when you run slow down the straightaway, the car handles so well because you don't throw it into the corner. He's giving him all he can stand. Truex is saying, man, don't race me.
Yeah, but you know, we talk about straightaway speed. You know, if you make the straightaway longer, if you can get in the gas a lot quicker up in the middle of the corner, you're going to look fast down the straightaway. A good handling race car will make a motor look great. That's what my motor man tells me.
Yeah. You see Truex there just ahead of
Santerre.
Santerre, yeah.
Second and third at stake here.
Well, Santerre got a tremendous jump right at the first of this race, but he's dropping back right now. Darrell, I would imagine if we go along and racetrack gets slicker, they'll have to adjust all these cars because they did wash all the rubber off the racetrack, and what was good right at first won't be very good after the first stop.
Probably, yeah, you're probably right, buddy, but by the same token, the cars may really come into the track may come back to the cars because the conditions will get to like they were before the rain came.
Beaver Dragon has made a pit stop. That'll put his Ocean Spray machine a lap down, and the Polaris snowmobiles and watercraft number 10 of Bill Dugan has gone to the garage area early. Jerry Marquis and the Grieche Brothers 51 leads at New Hampshire.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 on TNN is brought to you by Stanley. Since 1843, Stanley has been helping people do things right.
30 laps of 150 complete. Jerry Marquis continues to lead. Brian Ross made a pit stop under green. Randy, what happened?
Well, unfortunately, he cut the right rear. He thought he may have cooked it at first, but I don't know how much he was sliding around. Can't see from here, but he definitely cut the right rear. Sixth place in the Busch Grand National North Series. Having a good year. Former modified driver. Now a lap down, to say the least. Boy, tough break for Brian.
He had climbed as high as 11th place before making that unscheduled pit stop. Here's a look at how they're running as Kelly Moore works under two of the lap cars that have been battling hard all day. At 72, John Preston up on the high side. And they pull up on Don 40 in number 40.
You know, we didn't give these guys enough credit, Mike. We were talking about the track conditions and all this that might happen, and we haven't had a caution flag. I don't even think we've had a couple of little bumps, and that's about it. These guys are doing a really good job, every one of them are.
Good racing here at New Hampshire.
I might make an observation. If you get the camera on the car, any of the cars coming off the corner, the cars that handle really well, the left front corner of the car will not be all reared up in the air. The ground clearance will not be all that great. The car will sit fairly flat coming off the corner. That's what you really want to keep the car flat and don't get that left front corner flying up in the air.
Jamie Obey in 17th place leading this pack. Carlton Roby's the blue car, number 24. Raleigh McDonald behind him in 31. Gaining a little bit of ground on the rest of this pack.
And that's what the rear sway bar does. The rear sway bar takes the roll out of the back of the car laying down on the right rear, and it'll hold the car flatter through the corner. And that's why it's become so popular, particularly on the Chevrolets that are running such a high ground clearance in the front now. They need that to keep the car level. As I say that, I figure Gary Nelson's listening. He'll say, well, we'll just take the sway bars off the Chevrolets then.
From Robbie Crouch, the Donling Pontiac, the Valvoline Auto Palace machine, looking back at Tom Bowles in that I can't believe it's unsponsored number 76 because he's had some great runs this season and last. Denny Doyle just ahead, carrying the U.S. bobsled team colors, getting a little loose there off the corner. Twice loose.
Yeah, several of the cars are starting to fishtail just a little bit. Good turn with the rain and everything. Lake Winnipesaukee or whatever it is.
Good term. Good term, bad pun.
Yeah, right. 1-800 bobsled.
They did pretty well this year. Bob Cunha was telling me he's helping out with Jeff Bodine's car in the garage area. The bobsled team had a good season. They're looking forward to the next Winter Olympics.
Paul Spencer's in the pit. Jimmy's young brother, and Beaver Dragon is headed to the garage here with some problem on the Ocean Spray car. Whoop! So is Mr. Spencer.
36 laps complete. Jerry Marquis is the race leader. Martin Truex in second. Third is Kelly Moore. Fourth, pole-sitter Andy Santerre. Fifth is Dale Shaw. Sixth, Keith Flamel. In seventh is Bob Dragon. Currently eighth is Dave Dion. Ninth is Stub Fadden. Denny Doyle is 10th. Here's the 11th place car. You're riding with Robbie Crouch. 12th is Tom Bowles. 13th is Ted Christopher. In 14th is Brad Layton. And 15th, they're showing Mike Stefanik. All on the lead lap. In fact, 31 cars on the lead lap. The black car is Bowles. And a little bit of side-by-side here as Doyle got up and out of the groove. Mike Stefanik's going to try to take a shot and a spot. A little casual contact, and Ricky Craven in number 20 moves through. Here comes Jamie Obey in 41, the Budweiser car.
Ever since Ricky in the 20 car, Cravens there, got down on the bottom and quit working that outside, he's been making a little progress toward the front too. So that car runs better around the bottom of the racetrack. And as I say that, he whoops up on the outside and passes 4 cars.
From Robbie Crouch and the Autopolis Pontiac.
3 wide down the front again. Well, they can get the front straightaway is wider than I thought it was.
Jeff Fuller, say something, boy. I know what you want. You want to get back out there.
No.
Why aren't you?
Hey, it's air conditioned up here, and you know I'm not sweating.
Why aren't you out there driving, Jeff?
Why?
Yeah, I mean this is your stomping ground, isn't it?
Actually, you know we've had quite a bit of success here, but like I say, it's just too hot in them cars.
Oh,
Big hot.
There's Joe Bessie trying to get back to the front. He's working underneath the number 24 at Carlton Roby. Bessie's car is posted 1 lap down. And a little bit of raindrops on the window. And the starter has the yellow in hand, hasn't waved it yet. Caution
there it is.
Out. We're under caution for a few raindrops here at New Hampshire. We'll be right back to sort this situation out.
Winston Cup Racing. It's fast, it's fun, it's ferocious. The new national pastime. Now, Whitnauer International is celebrating this fastest of sports and its bravest drivers with the Speed Star Collection, a limited edition collection of fine watches available for only $69 plus shipping and handling by calling 1-800-355-RACE. Featuring the faces of your favorite Winston Cup drivers, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and Darrell Waltrip. The Speed Star Collection. Assembled in the USA with Swiss quartz movement and a 1-year limited warranty. Plus, every Speed Star watch comes with a photolithograph signed by your favorite driver. There's no other sport like Winston Cup Racing, and there's no other watch like the Speed Star Collection, a product of Whitnauer International. Order yours today.
Hi, I'm Rick Benjamin. On race day this week, a full plate of motorsports action. The Winston Cup stars head back up north to picturesque Loudon, New Hampshire, the Slick 5300. It's this weekend, TV's fastest half-hour race day.
All you need to know about motorsports. Race day. Tomorrow, 11:30 a.m., 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on TNN Motorsports.
Well, if it's raining too hard in New Hampshire, head for Opryland. Opryland USA is the official destination of NASCAR. For information, call weekdays 615-889-6611. A little bit of brief shower. Let's go down to the leaders pit. Larry McReynolds.
Okay, I've been standing in the Jerry Marquis pits. They've been debating about going ahead and pitting because, according to most of the crew chiefs, they get about 5 miles to the gallon with these cars. That makes them where they can run about 110 laps. Even though it's raining, if they pitted now, that would carry them to the distance, you know, because probably they wouldn't run enough caution laps to get it to the halfway point. Right now, the leader is complaining about being a little loose off, so they're talking about changing right side tires, putting a little wedge in the car to try to tighten it up. His teammate, Ken Schrader, just pitted. On the other hand, he's a little bit pushy. His front end isn't sticking. They changed 2 right side tires, filled them up with gas, and actually took a little bit of wedge out of the car. So it'll be interesting to see now if some of the other leaders will come on pit road.
Thanks, Larry. Here's Schrader.
Well, that's got a 6-cylinder motor in it, and he doesn't have quite the power maybe that the V8 would have. So if his car is pushing, it's really hurting that 6-cylinder. He needs to be as free as he can be.
Keith Lamell makes a pit stop. John Swanson is in as well. Dave Dion out of Hudson, New Hampshire. The Berlin City Ford. Also on pit road, Randy is there.
I'll tell you, a big break for these guys. A right front has gone down on Dave Dion's car. Brother Roger over there changing the right front as we speak. Oh, man, he's blistered it bad. That's the problem. I mean, it's blistered, the McCreary right front. They're going to go ahead and change both right side tires. They're going to swing around to the left. No, he's going to drop it and go. But, wow, he killed that right front. Oh, having a little problem in the pits now. They're going to go ahead and crank a little bit of wedge in it as well. None of the other guys are, as far as the leaders go, have had pit road as of yet.
Dave Dion was, in effect, the Darrell Waltrip of the NASCAR North Series. He and his brother Roger were very outspoken on many occasions, probably got tossed out of as many tracks as they won championships at. They've been very, very successful. They race pretty much on their own terms.
Yeah, back in the early 80s, late 70s, whoa, somebody just, it's a headset. I had that happen one time. I was racing Kane with my spotter, and he said, well, don't worry, there's going to be a caution in just a minute. I said, why is that? He said, because I'm going to throw this radio out on the racetrack. But anyway, Dion came to Richmond and sat on the outside pole in that 29 Ford one time, and
yes,
he's a hard runner and a good racer.
Here's your Napa Fuel Standing Update. Napa, we keep America running. Here is how they're running at lap 44 under this caution period. All of these cars are on the lead lap down through, let's see, 31st position. Cars are on the lead lap behind the Corvette safety car.
Well, I think it's a good move to pit right now. If they stop the race, you don't have to come back. You know, you won't have to come in, obviously, and they can go the distance from here. So it's probably a good move to go ahead and get the pit stop done.
And this will not be a lengthy shower, we're told. I mean, there's no chance of this race raining out, coming back another day when everybody would get to restart with a full load of fuel without stopping on pit road. So
the only downside would be if we made it to halfway and the bottom did fall out. But I don't see us riding around here for 30 laps under caution.
I don't think so. But they say this is what they call in New England, the farmers call this a clearing off shower.
This is the third one we've had, Mike.
Well, Darrell, I'm an optimist. We'll be right back with you live here on TNN.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 on TNN is brought to you by Napa. We keep America running.
We're under caution here for a brief rain shower at Loudon, New Hampshire. There's one of those umbrellas out of our souvenir trailer. Let's get down to Randy Pemberton.
Well, that is the blister tire off of Dave Dion's right front. I've got Roger, his brother. Raj, anything you can do to prevent this? We're sitting here at lap 46. You've got about a little over 100 to go, and you got a blistered right front. I saw you cranking some wedge, but will that help?
Well, that'll help a little bit, but we think we got a little camber problem in the front end. We're thinking we might jack the chassis up a little bit, try and change the camber gain a little bit, see if it'll correct it. But it looks like we probably got a chassis problem that's going to eat some tires. Dave's going to change his groove around, try and square the car up a lot more, not abuse it quite as bad, and try and ride it out. Like he says, we might have to use all 4 tires on the right front. I don't know.
Okay, that's the key. I mean, he can certainly look for another groove. That'll help a little bit, but I haven't seen too many other tire problems up and down pit road. Larry McReynolds, I know you're standing by. What about you up there?
Well, I'm standing in Ken Schrader's pit, and he actually had both right side blistered. Now, certainly a car that's handling good will help a tire where it won't blister, but I believe if I was some of the crew chiefs standing on pit road that hadn't pitted yet, I'd be hunting me 2 right side scuffs. In other words, 2 tires that has a few laps on them and they've been cured, and that will also help a blistering problem rather than putting stickers. They did put stickers back on Schrader's car, but they didn't know the tires was blistered until they took them off. All right, I'm going to throw it to Glenn and see what he's seeing down on his end of pit road.
Well, Larry, I'm in Martin Truex's pit, and this is his crew chief, Kevin Kramer. Kevin, what about the tires on Martin's car? What's he saying? How's he feel?
Feels real good. Just depends on this weather. We want to come in now, but with this weather, we want to try to stay out to halfway before we change tires.
All right, if it goes back to green, how long can you go before you will have to pit?
We go to a lap around 100. Then we're going to have to stop for fuel.
Okay, all right, they're just playing a waiting game, guessing game right now. They don't know any more about the weather than anybody else does, particularly the weatherman.
Glenn, that's a job up here with a lot of security, and there aren't many of those in the TV business, but you can be a weatherman in New England and be wrong 90% of the time and still be right because the weather changes so fast.
You know, in Dion's situation, he can adjust the wedge, and they do have the stagger option, and he can change his driving style. And Schrader, on the other hand, he's got a big problem. He's tearing up everything.
Let's check in with Kelly Moore. He's the driver of that Tic Tac Ford. And that's crew on the horn to Kelly. Kelly, this is Mike Joy at TNN. Are you wishing for a set of wipers out there right about now?
10-4. I think a set of wipers would be in order right now.
Well, how was the car working when we were able to race there under green?
Under green, we're a little bit loose in, and we're a little tight right in the middle, so it's heading us a little bit, so we just tried to kind of ride in, held on to the race car. Maybe we can make an adjustment come when we get a pit stop.
Okay, good luck the rest of the way. Kelly Moore, number 47, that's the Tic Tac Ford Thunderbird. We're also hooked up with Andy Santerre. We'll get to him in a second here.
You know, the one thing that I am a little concerned about is they did not know that the 52 car of Kenny Schrader had blistered tires on there. There's some other cars out there that look as bad as Kenny did in the corner as far as handling. We got a car spun out in the middle of the corner up here.
Turn 4, a car has spun in the wet. That's number 63, Brandon Butler, trying to get back around to pit road here, and he has backed it into the fence.
Boy, he hit hard.
Well, no tread on these tires. They hydroplane pretty easily.
Oh, yeah.
With this rain.
The point I was making is there may be some cars out there right now up front that have the same problem that Schrader had, and they hadn't made a pit stop. I believe, like Darrell said, I'd come in and check them before the green come back out.
And they will red flag the cars due to wetness on the track this time by. Let's try once again, see if we can get to Andy Santerre as they get ready to put this field under red and let this shower pass through. Field coming past, and they're going to hold them on pit road and shut things down here. Santerre running in 4th place at the time of this red flag, which comes on lap number 48. Andy, this is TNN. Can you copy us up here?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
A little damp out there now, but how was your car working when the track was dry?
Well, the car's getting real tight at the moment. It was running real good at first, but about, 10, 15 laps in, I started getting real tight. I had to let him go, so we're just gonna hope that we can get in and make some adjustments and see what happens.
One of the things we're discussing up here in the booth, some of the teams decided to make a pit stop on the first lap of caution for rain, and yet you folks stayed out. How come?
Well, we can't make it on the fuel, we don't think, with this new V8. It's our first time up here. We don't dare to gamble it, so we're going to do what the leaders do, I guess.
Okay, we'll let you hunt for cover, and good luck later on. Andy Santerre, who started today's race on the pole. They're going to close up the cowls of these cars, keep the rain out of the carburetor, and we'll be right back to New Hampshire after this word. Well, if you're fond of the water, and today we're not, you'll enjoy the NASCAR Family Cruise December 4 to 7 on the Big Red Boat. From Cape Canaveral to the Bahamas, TNN and the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary will take you there. Kyle Petty, Ernie Irvin, Todd Bodine, Ted Musgrave, and Steve Grissom are among the Winston Cup drivers who will participate, and the proceeds go to the Winston Cup Drivers Wives Auxiliary. For more information, call toll-free 1-800-972-2359. Let's go to Glenn, and let's go to the car of the race leader.
Well, look at this. He's got a smile on his face. Now, I'm going to ask a real stupid question, Jerry. How are things going?
I tell you, I think they're going pretty good. I guess it's obvious, really, but I tell you, the wheels, Castrol Motor Oil car here, the guys did a super job. The car is really running real good. The track's getting a little slick out there right now, but this rain's going to wash it around again, and we'll see what happens with it.
Do you think that the water on the surface of the racetrack now, will it change it enough that it'll affect your car, or do you think your car will adapt to it?
I don't think it's going to be so much an adaptation. It's we're going to have to adjust for what's going on right now with being. I'm thinking it's probably going to tighten the track back up again, and we got a little bit loose towards the end there. It was, the car felt good. I wasn't getting any pressure from anybody, and they can't say anymore. I mean, these guys did a super job, gave me a great car. They gave me a great car the first week here that we came down to Loudon, and I kind of messed up, and I'm hoping to make up for it today.
Well, he's well on his way to making up for that right now. Let's step around on the other side here and We'll talk to the second place guy, Martin Truex. They have parked the cars side by side, and we'll get Kevin to step out of the way here. Because we talked to Martin in Victory Lane here last year, and looks like you got a pretty good car again today, though, but don't have too much for Marquis right now.
I don't know. We're pretty equal right now. I think he's hitting the traffic a little better than we are, but I think we'll be okay. We need to get inside the window of the gas stop and get some right side tires and go from there.
Well, Martin, what is it about this racetrack? Now, you really seem to take to this place. The first time you came here, of course, you won. It was a little bit of a surprise to some people last year, but you always run well here. What is it?
I just think we just prepare better for this race. You know, we have a little bit more time. We only run this car here, so we really prepare well for this one, you know. The short track programs, the races are so close together, and not having a full team, you know, you're just working a couple nights a week. It's tough to keep the cars right. This one, we make sure it's right when we come here.
Well, they sure do that every time we're here at New Hampshire with the Busch Grand National North. Martin Truex, one of the cars that runs up front, as I said, defending champion of the race last year. He thinks he's got something for Jerry Marquis. When they start this thing again, let's go down to Randy.
Well, Dale Shaw is sitting here in 5th. He's come back from 17th, made it all the way to the front. He's in a little bit of a predicament. There has been a tire problem so far. I don't know exactly if it's too much camber, what the problem is, but your team has checked your right front in particular, I guess a little bit in the right rear. You've got a blister. What are you going to do?
I guess Quint Beauvais is going to bring the Skull, have me bring the Skull Pontiac in. I'd like to take this chance to thank U.S. Tobacco and Quint Beauvais and all the people that have supported me through the years, the last couple of years, and this car is just terrific. It drives itself.
Well, we're sitting here right around the 50-lap mark. If you've got a burned-up right front, how do you make it go the distance with only one more set of tires? What do you do?
Well, we got some tires. I'd rather not comment on that, but we got a plan.
Okay. There's Dale Shaw with a plan. He said the car is driving super. He says he can win this race. Larry?
I'm standing here with Ken Schrader. Kenny, you've already pitted. You can go the distance, but both right side tires blistered. What's going on there?
We're just trying to keep up. We're having to run a little car pretty hard. The car's handling real good, and, team car's up there leading, but we're just a couple cylinders short and kind of having to abuse stuff to try to keep up.
But can you go the distance to the end at least on fuel?
Yeah, and we can probably ease up a little bit and wait for them guys to pit and save some tires, and we're set for here on out, I guess.
Okay, we'll hopefully get back racing. I'm going to throw it back up to the guys up in the booth.
Thanks, Larry. Kenny Schrader will restart in 22nd spot. We'll be right back to Loudon, New Hampshire as they finish drying the track after this.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 on TNN is brought to you by the more than 1,000 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
It has stopped raining here in Loudon, New Hampshire at the International Speedway, and a fight is about to break out here in the booth as several of my colleagues have just burst into song.
Oh, yeah, Baker over here singing A Bowl of Butter Beans.
Right, and I remember you singing I Can Help on that NASCAR album.
And needed it. He
needed some.
I was trying to help. Nobody would take my help.
So they are drying the track here. And, folks, before things get totally out of hand and we lose control, we're going to go to Truckin' USA, and just as soon as they're ready to refire the engines, we will be back and bring you the conclusion of this Busch Grand National North race and the modifieds.
It won't be that long, because I tell you, the back straightaway is drier than the front, looks to me like.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be long at all.
Nope. Folks, let's go Truckin' USA. We'll be back to New Hampshire here as soon as they refire. Our Larry McReynolds and Glenn Jarrett, and with this developing story, having looked at the tires on these cars during the red flag, Randy Pemberton.
Well, there certainly is a tire problem. McCreary comes here in particular. They have 3 different compounds that they run in the Busch North Series. They have the hardest right side tires that they can run or that they put together, and they're running them here today. I went up and down the cars sitting as they were parked on pit road. Everybody, it appeared to me, had either a slight or a major blister problem with sometimes either the right front or the right rear. Very rarely is it both. So some guys pushing, they burn up the right front a little bit, gets a little loose, they're burning up the right rear. Now, what you're looking at here is a lot of guys are considering pitting and going ahead and putting some tires on. Right now, Kelly Moore coming down pit road. The deal here is they can just about go the distance on fuel for now. Tires, they're allowed to change 2 right side tires. Now, if they want to put on 4 tires, they can go ahead and change 2 more rights and 2 rights again because they think they can go the distance on the left. So a lot of strategy going on down here on pit road. Who's going to win? Well, maybe it's the last guy standing today. Glenn?
Well, Randy, I talked to a couple of the crew chiefs, and of course, Andy Santerre said his car was tight. He had blisters on both right side tires. They're putting a rubber in the right rear. Now, Jerry Marquis, the leader, said when they pitted, he had a little bit of a blister on the right rear. He was a little bit loose. They were going to do it with work with the stagger and maybe about a half a round of bite in the car. Kevin Kramer with Martin Truex's car said they weren't going to make any changes. His tires really looked the best of anybody. Also, number 7, we talked to Dale Shaw. He had a problem. He said they were going to take a rubber out of the right front, try to get his car to turn a little easier. So, like Darrell says, with the bias ply tires, with the McCreary tires, they can work with stagger, a little bit of wedge. They're not too worried if it's a right rear. They can fix that a little easier than if they're blistering the right front. But they've all pretty much got a plan in mind.
There's the Penfold car coming out, and here's the leader, Jerry Marquis, on pit road.
Darrell, I'm kind of concerned about these cars that didn't pull in and lost all this track position.
Yeah.
You see Jerry Marquis come in on the second time by. I can't figure that out.
Only thing I can think of is maybe didn't think the pit road would be open the first time around. That was the first time around.
I think from some of the interviews we got there during the red flag period, and folks, fans of Trucking USA, we're sorry, but we're set to go racing here, so we're going to stay here at New Hampshire. I don't think the V8 powered cars are in the fuel window yet, where with this pit stop they can go the distance, and that may be why some of them kind of hemmed and hawed about would we come in, would we stay out.
Mike, with the conditions of the racetrack and everything like you are right now, that track position is going to mean a whole bunch. You'd want to be near the front.
Okay. Now,
yeah, I think so.
Randy said we have a tire problem. To put that in perspective, do we have a tire problem, or do we have a chassis setup problem to take advantage of the changing track conditions and the way these cars are going to work?
Well, the poor old tire companies, they never seem to be the winners in the deal. I mean, how do they know it's going to rain and change the racetrack from practice to the race itself? And then even the guys themselves, the cars are off a little bit, the chassis are not exactly right. They admit themselves they don't run big racetracks like this that much. So they're going to miss the setup a little bit. The tire company ends up with a tire problem, and we got a tire problem today.
But it's not necessarily the tires that are causing the problem, it's the tires that show the result of it.
I'll tell you, Mike, you know, if I was one of these crew chiefs, like you see the crew chief of Jerry Marquis and Kenny Schrader down there, I guarantee you he's around talking to other teams that have had problems, possibly getting some scuffed tires together. They've been putting sticker tires on here, and I'm not sure if the right way to go wouldn't be to go with a scuffed tire where it's cured a little bit and might be a little harder.
Well, the question is, did they get enough practice time to scuff tires in, or did they even choose to scuff tires in?
Yeah, well, probably not. What happens is you go through practice, you see no problems, and so you don't think there's any reason to do that.
Let's check with Randy.
Well, there are a couple of teams here that have some scuffs. I did talk to a couple of crew chiefs, and scuffs will help, they think, but they may not get more than another 10 or 15, possibly 20 good laps out of a set of scuffs. So it could help the problem, but it might not cure it as we get ready to go green.
Set to go racing after that round of pit stops. And Bobby Dragon is on the point. The Tallarico Buick leading from Stub Fadden, Ricky Craven, and they're 3 wide just behind them for a moment as Brian Ross, the black car, duels Tommy Bowles into the corner.
The 20 car there on the outside coming up out of turn 2 is Ricky Craven. He's making a bold move on the outside there, trying to take that second spot and gets it from Fadden.
So Craven is the beneficiary of all these pit stops by the leaders, as is Bob Dragon, who moves up into the lead.
Well, Craven's car was working good on the outside when the race started, so he's right back at it again.
You can see Bobby Dragon's car get just a little bit loose. He probably got out there in that black part you see there. That's still damp just a little bit. So coming off the corner, you can't give it his head like you did earlier in the race when the track was completely dry.
What's it like when you go out on a green racetrack like this right after a bit of a rain shower?
Well, you're real apprehensive. You're not real sure if you should drive down in there like you know you can normally, so you're real apprehensive. And some guys are more cautious than others, and that's where you run into problems.
Whoa! Now that was casual contact with the purpose of going to the lead, because Ricky Craven got into him, but I think it was an accident. They both come off the corner and got into each other there just a little bit.
Now, Ricky had a little problem there off of turn 4 earlier in the race, if you recall, with another car. So maybe his car just doesn't like turn 4.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Here we go, the intelligent car again.
Stub Fadden tries the inside. Boy, he and Bob Dragon have a lot of laps together on these New England racetracks.
Early in the race, they pulled his battery over for Stub.
Yep.
Wishing him good luck.
Oh, we have a spin down in turn 4.
Caution has not yet waved. That's Carlton Roby up in turn 4. They're waiting to see if he pulls away.
Mike, he's back under power. I don't think we're going to see a yellow. But there's
another car sitting up there, too, that's
turn 3.
Not going very fast. I'm not sure what's going on.
One car in the wall at turn 3. Leaders will pass it by on the low side. That's the 5 car of Barney McRae. He draws the caution. The Colchester, Vermont driver, the Barcelona Insurance Pontiac, brings the flag out for the second time. 55 laps complete here at New Hampshire International Speedway, and the modifieds to follow. Stay with us. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire. Caution is out for Barney McRae's spin up in turn number 3. Here's a look at some of the bump and grind that occurred when first there's the 24, Carlton Roby, spinning up at turn 4.
But now watch this. Back in here.
Watch the right side of your screen.
Bam! Joe Bessie got on that wet part on the bottom, Darrell, and got into another car there on the outside.
It's a good thing Dale Shaw was there to save that.
Yeah.
He would have been in the wall.
And
thank you, Dale.
And see the Panther pink car right behind Joe Bessie? Bill Penfold, graduate of the Buck Baker Racing School, chief instructor Buddy Baker, and his co-student that day, John Force. Whoa.
Boy, that's an interesting bunch of tidbits.
Yes, it was. Here's a look at your top 10. We have 28 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Berry makes a pit stop. Brian Ross is in.
Darrell, the only thing worse than that was Mike Joy was there, too, that day.
Well, that Bessie incident proves that 8 tires get a lot more side bite than 4 do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the first told me that was a fellow, here's the Dale Shaw in the pits. A fellow raced Riverside Park, Peter Fiandaca, a New England kind of semi-legend. Steve Bird was his crew chief then. He always passed everybody on the inside, he says, because 8 wheels corner better than 4.
That's right.
Picked up his 300th career feature win last night. He won 2 at Star Speedway, and then this weekend 1 at Hudson Speedway. 300 career wins.
Wow.
Pretty
That's
enviable
impressive.
record.
It is.
He has been around forever. He used to do the modified circuit, you know, Westboro Speedway. And what has he been doing this now, 35, 40 years?
Maybe 30.
That sounds like Darrell Waltrip at Nashville.
Actually, that's long before Baker's time. No, wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Nothing happened before Baker's time. I just remember.
Get out your abacus and we'll figure during the next caution, but we're about to go green.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Green flag at lap 60. 2 yellows and 1 red flag so far, and we're back at it. 90 more laps of Busch Grand National North, and then the modified shootout.
See Ricky Craven getting a good start there. You can see behind him they're starting to run double foul off the corner there. But Ricky Craven said, I don't want to get back in this double wide racing. So he's going to try to stay out on the point as long as he can.
Yeah, and you got to remember something. When guys get a start like that, the leader of the race, he's supposed to get a better start than everybody else. He's going before everybody else.
All right, here's Bob Dragon, Stub Fadden, and Tommy Bowles, the front 3. The 87 of Ron Thiel off Long Island, former Riverhead Raceway competitor. Now running the Busch. Trouble, turn 2. 2 cars sideways, and everybody gets through. Oh, no, they don't.
I don't think so.
Pan left, and we got the secondary crash. And there's the rest of the story. Andy Santerre got caught up in it. And that's what happened. That late pit stop put him to the back.
Yep.
And that's where all the stuff was as they come around with a caution.
Mike, that's exactly what I was talking about. That track position, a lot of times, people say, well, you qualified way back in the field, and that's just a starting spot and all that. But a lot of times you're caught up in things like that when you do start in the back.
Let's show you what happened once again here.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a little bump right there.
Look at Kenny Schrader in the 52 there. He's got to decide something pretty quick right now.
The 98 of Lamel spun with the 72 of John Preston. Now, here comes Santerre. Oops, and around he goes. He got tangled up with the 34 of Glenn Sullivan.
Well, look at all those cars just going everywhere.
And it's real slick up on that part of the track up there.
Yeah, here's another look at it.
Looked like Brian might have just tapped him.
The 3 car hit the 72 car, looked like. Man, everybody just kind of...
Here's where a lot of lady luck comes in.
Oh, yeah. This one, the spotter's saying, go high. No,
Yeah,
no,
go
no,
low.
go low. No, go high.
That's where the spotter's saying, oops.
There's a shredded tire off one of the cars.
Yeah. Definitely got a tire
And
problem.
it could be Stub Fadden. He's pitting. So that will be your third-place car on pit road.
Here's a 34 car coming down with a bunch of damage.
Oh, Glenn Sullivan. Let's go to Randy.
No chassis adjustments expected for Stubbs' machine. They're just going to go ahead and change 2 right side tires as I see him roll the right front off. Doesn't look awfully bad. They're going to go ahead and take some time on the car. They've got her all filled up. Whoa, they got the neck full. They got it stuck with the gas can, lost a little coming out, but now they can go the distance on fuel. So Stubb with a funny-looking pit stop at least, but he can go the distance.
87 laps to go. And there's the number 34, the Christie's Stores entry. That's Glenn Sullivan, who races out of Westbury, New York.
I don't believe Andy Santerre hit anything because he didn't come in the pit. He just kind of spun around, and of course he's at the back, but he was already pretty far back.
And Keith Lamell of Essex Junction, Vermont on pit road, the Lamell Lumber Chevy. Here's your top 10. Ricky Craven at the front of the field. Bobby Dragon, Tom Bowles, Ted Christopher in the Manafort Brothers number 13, Kelly Moore, Ken Schrader, Dick McCabe, rookie Denny Doyle, Robbie Crouch, and the number 55 of Brad Layton. You have Dick Lyons' engineered machine. There's Sullivan back out trying to stay on the lead lap. They got most of their right side fender off, but the spine of that fender would not come loose, so he'll likely be back again.
That's a curb finder. He just finished out.
Yeah. Oh, he found the curb. He found about everything with that one. Yeah, not his antenna. 63 laps complete. We'll have another lap or two of caution while they pick up debris, and we'll be right back.
Every time they strap themselves in, they put it all on the line. They force the issue and sometimes push too hard. In a world where the news moves as fast as the sport itself, take it to the leader. Inside Winston Cup Racing for up-to-the-minute, state-of-the-art coverage from the whole world of NASCAR. Inside Winston Cup Racing, tomorrow, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern on TNN Motorsports.
Unless you've felt the heat, faced the pressure, known the intensity, you don't know racing. We don't do a lot of talking. We just get right in the middle. One word. Win.
Join Rusty Wallace for the wildest ride on television. Win. Sundays on TNN Motorsports.
And believe me, it doesn't get any closer.
On the restart, 1 lap ago, Joe Bessie marched to the front to try to get back on the lead lap. That's his black Delco Remy number 1 car. Ted Christopher for the lead. One of the twin brothers that races at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut on Friday nights. And here comes Tom Bowles from Ellington, Connecticut, past Bobby Dragon. The Nutmeg State running 1-2. Kelly Moore up the inside, past the Dragon Wagon.
You know, Cravens is just, you know, he's a little bit quicker than everybody right now. He's pulled out a pretty good lead.
You know, you see Joe Bessie there trying to get back in the lead lap. He was in the pits, and we thought he had a motor problem, but apparently it was the plug wire or something, because he's back up to speed and running very well. If he gets a shot at all, he might get back in the lead lap.
Fastest car on the racetrack, that 51 right there, Jerry Marquis. From the last restart, that yellow car in 1.5 laps picked up 12 positions. But now he is in heavy traffic.
Boy, heavy.
3 wide.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is not going to be good.
This is ugly.
Martin Truex on the outside had to back out of it. Here comes Jeff Berry in that orange and black 22. Sweeps to the outside.
Man, good thing they all got fresh tires on.
Well, they think rain is coming. They're 3 wide again in the front straightaway. A little bumping down in turn 1. Everybody's going to get through here. Randy?
Well, that's exactly right. No one knows for sure, but at lap 69, we're just 6 laps away from halfway. There are a couple of guys that still want to take on their tires, but they don't want to chance it and get back in traffic. They wanted that track position in case this rain came and they didn't get this race restarted. So they're hanging out there.
Showers to the west. Our helicopter pilot relaying the in-car camera pictures from Robbie Crouch's car tells us there's Dave Dion moving past Jerry Marquis on the outside.
Yeah, Dion's pretty quick. I watched him through that traffic, and he's being real cautious, but he's getting through there well.
He's up on that Panther pink machine of Bill Penfold, 28. Dion slips to the inside. Ford's got a bit of power. 3 wide right behind him. And there's Marquis, and Obie dives to the inside.
Wow.
Big move by number 41, Jamie Obie, and Dale Shaw with him.
Of course, Dale Shaw, he got messed up in that deal with Bessie there a little bit earlier and had to go to the back, but he's coming back through the field pretty quickly, too.
Mike Stefanik alongside in 09, and Andy Santerre, 44, the pole sitter.
Santerre, he's working back through there pretty well. Cravens is holding a pretty good lead right now.
So we're back in the pack at 16th position. Glenn Jarrett?
Well, you guys talking about how Dion went by on the outside, passing supposedly the fastest car on the track, which might. But Dave's crew made a major chassis adjustment a while ago under that last caution flag. They were jacking wedging that thing like I have never seen before. Obviously, they have hit on something, at least for the time being.
It worked. This is Merlin Ford number 29. Marches toward the front. They're racing the rain and each other here at New Hampshire. Scattered showers have delayed this race a couple of times. Thanks for staying with us here on TNN Live. Winston Cup racing tomorrow, and this 40-lap modified shootout to follow. 3 wide again. That's Reggie Ruggiero, the 9X Yellow Pages machine, up in the top groove. Wonder if there's an entry in the Yellow Pages for racing room, because he's about to dial for it.
Boy, it's crowded over there. They make that third turn look a lot bigger than it really is. But that's because they're using the apron. One car on the apron motion.
Carlton Roby just ahead of Reggie. And on the inside, that's 71 Bobby Dragon, 16 Stub Fadden, and 98, that's Keith Lamel.
Here we go. Down the back, 3 wide again.
We've seen this movie.
Whew. Stub Fadden, he takes the lead right there in that group. Boy, I tell you what, any second things could happen here in a hurry, couldn't it, Dale?
It really, if one guy just decided to turn down a little quicker than the guy anticipates, well, they got a big problem.
Right there for 20th place. G.G. Gravel on the inside, number 54. And there's the 15 of Derek Lynch. We're at halfway, folks.
And rain is coming. Again. I think it's the 4th time. Tearing up, right, Mike?
Yeah, this will be a soaking down shower, Darrell. I give up, okay?
Mike, you see Ruggiero, the last car on the outside there coming off the corner. He's on the outside, and he's kind of stuck in traffic right now. He's driving his heart out right now, but he can't quite get a track position to make a move. You see him going to the outside, but watch him lose ground as they get to the center of the corner here.
Here's your Stanley Mid-Race Report, brought to you by the Stanley Company. Since 1843, Stanley's been helping people do things right. 3 leaders, 4 lead changes, 3 cautions for a total of 21 laps. Only 2 cars out of this race.
You know, and as well as Dion and some of those guys, but Marquis and those guys are running, they're a full straightaway behind the leader right now. So they're going to have something happen for them to catch up.
3 wide. This is what they're doing to stay out front. Kelly Moore and Tom Bowles in 76. Splitting Glenn Sullivan. Now you're with Robbie Crouch moving up on Sullivan's battered machine. There's Crouch with the roof cam atop the Valvoline Auto Palace Pontiac.
71 car there, Dragon. Seems to be a little bit loose coming up off the corner there.
Well, we know that won't pay. That'll hurt that right rear, and he'll be looking for a tire before long.
Well, the magic word was rain just a second ago. Everybody's got the stoppers out right now. They're not worried about tire problems or anything else. You look up and see black clouds like you see coming off turn 4 there, and the crew chief is telling you, if you have anything, go ahead and use it. If that rain better come, because I guarantee they're abusing the tires and everything else right at the moment.
There is rain in Concord to the southwest of us. Tommy Bowles in 76. What a great day he's having as he battles Kelly Moore. Battling for some recognition and a sponsor, Ted Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher is the guy that's impressing me.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know where he came from, but he's holding 2nd place and has actually closed up on Craven a couple of times.
Comes from Plainville, Connecticut, where they used to have a pretty decent little flat quarter-mile track. He and his twin brother Mike race modifieds Friday nights, and they race each other harder than they race anybody else on the track, it seems.
Well, he's got the pedal to the metal right now. Doing a good job.
You're riding with Robbie Crouch right now as he moves in. He's trying to get track position there, getting on trying to get up through here because this race could be called any second.
Martin Truex, defending champ in 56. The Blount Seafood car right behind Kenny Schrader. 52, the Wheels Auto Supply machine.
Every time I go 3 wide into turn 3 over there, I ease up on the edge of my seat. I can't make it this time. There's no way.
Well,
they keep doing it.
3 wide off the corner. Brad Layton, the blue car, 55. Here's Crouch, is going to make the move on Bobby Dragon.
That was the 5th spot. Going down in the corner there. This is looking out of the back of the car.
Just heard a spotter there. Just as soon as he got ahead of him, the spotter said, clear, go ahead and move up.
Bobby Dragon has had a great racing career up north. He won this year at Lee, New Hampshire. He's got a 3rd at Jennerstown and a 5th at Beech Ridge Speedway in Maine. He's going right back after Crouch on the low side. Throws it in. Gets that far and no further.
If you watch Joe Bessie's car, he's just behind the 2nd place car there. He's down. He's got a plug wire offer down on a cylinder 1 because he's slow down the end of the straightaway, but he's quick through the middle of the corner, and that's how come he's able to keep up the way he is.
That'll watch him right here, 3 seconds behind the leader. As number 21, Eric Bodine, cousin to the Winston Cup drivers of the same name, makes a bid stop under green. Now, they can make it on fuel, we're told, to the 150 laps, but can they make it on tires? That's the big question.
Well, everybody knows now, after that stop, that's one good thing, that they all know that, yeah, we got a little tire situation here we need to deal with, and that may make a difference.
In front of you. Ricky Craven, the leader. Ted Christopher in 2nd. Kelly Moore is 3rd. Tommy Bowles 4th. Robbie Crouch, this car, number 6, is 5th. And 6th is 71 Bobby Dragon. Harry McReynolds.
I tell you, I've been standing in the Ricky Craven pit, and there's been about 4 guys with notebooks and calculators really huddling on this fuel mileage situation. He pitted on lap 44, which make him have to run 106 laps with a V8. The crew chief told me, hey, we're not running for points. We come here to win. We're going to go the distance. So there's a little bit of question there. Going to the 2nd place car, Ted Christopher, he pitted on lap 50, 6 laps later than Craven did. There's quite a bit of confidence in them that there's no problem. They can go the distance should this thing go green.
There's Christopher Chevrolet. Hasn't done a lot of racing in a full-bodied car. Usually runs the modified. There's Craven.
He's a little quicker than Ricky right now. He's closing up on Ricky, and he's doing a great job.
The car just went pushy loose right in the middle of the corner on him.
Hate that when that happens.
What do you do to fix it?
I don't know. If I do, I'd fix mine. That's kind of what it's doing.
And there's Dale Shaw battling Lamel and Santerre.
See how those left front corners of the cars are stuck way up in there? That's I said earlier, and I'll just reiterate that that's what the rear sway bar is taking out of some of the Winston Cup cars, is the cars stay flatter off the corner, which makes them run quicker.
They're pulling down on Jamie Obey. This race is for 16th position. All these cars are on the lead lap. 28 cars on the lead lap. Dale Shaw, defending series champ. Lamel we've nearly seen in victory lane on a couple of occasions over the past year. And Santerre, that spin apparently did not hurt. The win's number 44.
You know, I believe Ricky is just kind of keeping the crew chief keeping a little interval between him and Christopher, and he's not really running as hard as he could right now. I think he's just kind of keeping that little gap between him and the 2nd place car.
They better get after it. I see a few raindrops hitting the front window here.
Yeah,
so they're keeping an eye on it. But the racetrack right at the moment is still in good shape, and they're going for it.
Bit of heat in the racetrack from these last 20 or so laps we've run under green, and just a little bit of raindrops.
Oh, Chris.
Well, back at it again. Robbie Crouch has a familiar face filling up his rear view. Bobby Dragon. Good battle here, and it continues for 5th place.
That might be the first time I've ever seen the driver's name on the rear spoiler. Normally they do the sponsor all the way across here. They got the driver's name. That's a good idea.
Don't believe in Winston Cup you're allowed anything on the rear spoiler.
No, you're not. As big as
trouble, turn 1. Big spin, and here comes the pack. Wow. They're going to get past the spinning number 96 of Bobby Gaeta. Wow. And caution will come out for the Niantic, Connecticut driver, the Auto Sound Pontiac of Anthony Rainone.
Darrell, that was some great driving by all those guys. I don't know how they got by there, but you could tell the racetrack didn't cause the spin because everybody got through there under very adverse conditions. So I think he just lost control of the 96 car.
The 44 car runs through there wide open on the apron. He's the luckiest one.
Just a little contact there.
Laughlin goes, number 35.
Now watch this 44 car come streaming through here.
See, right then, you don't know. Do you go high? Do you go low? I mean, the guy... Man, that was close.
High or low, but not straight.
Jeff, looks different from up here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It looks a lot easier from up here.
Yeah, this is one of those, why didn't he?
Yeah, right. It's starting to come down.
So Gaeta is okay as we get a couple of more sprinkles here. Let's get down to Bobby Dragon's pit. Here's Glenn.
And boy, a collective sigh of relief was heaved by these guys. They were begging for a caution. They had not pitted at all. We were approaching lap 90. In fact, it'll be lap 90 this time, I guess. And they were worried not only about tires, but about fuel, too. They needed a caution in the worst way. Usually when you pray for one that badly, it's usually you that causes it. Dragon got what he wanted, so they're going to bring him in and they'll put tires and fuel in him and should be set for the rest of the way, weather permitting.
Glenn, how hard is it raining there?
Oh, excuse me. Let me take the umbrella off. Not too bad. Not too bad. I hit Nelson in the head with it, but that's okay. He didn't feel it.
You know, if he hadn't pitted yet, I know he has great track position, but his tires must be in real good shape, too, if he's run 90 laps without it coming into pit. So his car must be handling real well. And he's able to keep up well, too.
So just a little bit of a... Oops, I said a little bit of a sprinkle. Suddenly it's changed. We'll take this pause for New Hampshire International Speedway. Bear with us, folks. We're going to get this in.
Today's exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace 150 by Slick 50 on TNN is brought to you by Split Fire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more till you use it.
This is bad. Yeah, it's now this rain is coming down, and so are the folks out of the stand. They ought to call this the shower-to-shower 150 because that's the way we've been running it today.
That's a good one, Mike.
Everybody's looking for a little bit of cover right now, or not.
Or not.
Yep. This fellow's going to slug it out.
Ooh, ugly sight there. That's one of the natural areas here. They got ducks and everything else that live in this facility when they're not racing around here.
Right. They did have a lot more wetlands here, but got permission from the Army Corps of Engineers who regulate such things to fill in some of the wetlands to make a second garage area, provided that Bob Bear create another wetlands area right adjacent to the racetrack outside turn 3, which is what they did. Right now, it's all wetlands. Somewhere in that maze, I think, is Glenn Jarrett and Randy Pemberton standing by just a bit. Well, it won't be raining at Opryland August 24th to September 4th. The TNN Salute to Motorsports is dedicated to all different kinds of racing. There'll be a lot of driver appearances. NASCAR and the NHRA are going to participate. This salute comes as a result of TNN's success in televising more live racing than any other network. You can get a special 2-day pass to the theme park, meet a lot of your favorite drivers, see the show cars, check out the latest in souvenirs, lots of other merchandise and exhibits. For more information, call weekdays 615-889-6611. We're going to take a break from New Hampshire International Speedway while it rains down just a little bit more, but we'll be right back.
Young guns of racing. And on their Sunday afternoon showdown, these next generation superstars start with the next generation die-hard battery. The longest lasting die-hard ever. The same die-hard you can buy at Sears. Don't trust your Sunday drives to anything less.
It doesn't get any closer.
Last year, it was a Winston Cup war. Ernie Irvin's early lead got pushed in the dirt, but Ernie clawed back, then got loose, yielded to the man in black. In the end, Ricky Rudd's late race spin cycle laundered Earnhardt and gave Ricky his first win as an owner. It's The Winston Cup Slick 50 300, Sunday, 1 p.m., noon Central on TNN Motorsports.
It's going to be a wide-open paint-swapping war.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay 150 by Slick 50. It's very slick out there right now in the rain. It's the Auto Palace 150, folks. And we're under another, hopefully brief, rain delay. This is the soaking down shower that Darrell warned you was coming. Let's go to Glenn Jarrett with a man who has been running up front all day but had yet to make a pit stop.
And he was starting to run on a few fumes there. They were praying for a caution flag. You needed gas, the tires. Caution flag came out because of a wreck. But then the rain started, so they were going to come in. Then they weren't. Boy, you were stretching things a little bit there, Bobby Dragon.
You betcha we were. We figured somewhere between 85 and 90 we got to come in, and we're hopefully it wasn't going to be on green, and this worked out okay. Tallarico Tubbs Pontiac's been running real well. We've managed to keep the tires on it up to now, and I think that's probably key to where we're at. Hopefully now we might have a little advantage with some new tires from here on to the end if we can get it started again. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Well, that was my next question, Bobby. You've run 92 laps now. You still haven't stopped for fuel. You can't do anything under a red flag, and you've got to be running low. Will you have enough to start this thing?
We'll have enough to start it, but I don't want to have to go around more than one lap. The pits better be open when we come back around the next time, because we've got to get gas for sure. The tires, I think we can probably last a while yet, but to be able to compete with the guys behind me, I've got to get some new tires on the car as well.
Okay, that's Bobby Dragon, one of the nicest guys, the Busch Grand National North Series. Mike?
Thanks, Glenn. We hear it raining on your parade down there, and there's Richard Petty trying to keep that Charlie one-horse cowboy hat out of the rain.
Yeah, a lot of the Cup guys are probably, everybody's changed engines down there in the Cup garage, and the way this looks right now, we may not get any happy hour this afternoon, and that's a real concern to everybody.
We'll see. Let's get down to Randy. He's with the race leader.
Well, Ricky Craven, not even breaking a sweat. Ricky, I know you're having a lot more fun than we are. How's the car running?
I'll tell you what, I was sweating for a while, but it's running good. I intended to come up here and spend a few days relaxing. This was supposed to be a nice relaxing day, enjoying myself, do a little racing, get with the old boys that I used to compete with. And the first 50 laps drove me crazy. I about killed myself trying to keep up with them. And guys had a good pit stop, made some good changes, and speedy oil change and tune-up cars running good.
How much less frustrating can this rain delay situation be time in and time again when you're running up front?
Well, I remember watching Darrell at Darlington jumping up and down doing the rain dance, and I didn't watch him very closely. If I had, I'd be doing it right now. But I think Darrell's with you guys today, isn't he? Ask him how that dance went, would you?
He heard you. Darrell, how'd it go?
Well, you get out of the car and you put a rock in your shoe and you just start jumping around.
He said you put a rock in your shoe and you start jumping around. That's it.
I'll tell you what, these guys are real good competitors. It's fun to be back with them, and I'd like for it to keep raining because the boys deserve a win, but the fans deserve to see it finish under green.
Okay. Good luck the rest of the way, Rick.
And if we don't get this modified race in, we're going to strangle him. Because we want to see that, too. Our camera crew is getting a little bit damp out here as well, trying to bring you the pictures. Ricky Craven leads this race. Ted Christopher, Kelly Moore, Tommy Bowles, and Robbie Kraus, the top 5. Bobby Dragon, Dick McCabe, Denny Doyle, Martin Truex, and the 55, that's Brad Layton. That's your top 10. Kenny Schrader, Jerry Marquis ran up front. Dave Dion, Andy Santerre, the pole sitter, and Dale Shaw. Keith Lamell, Mike Stefanik, Jamie Obie, Mike Laughlin Jr., and Stub Fadden, the top 20. 28 cars are on the lead lap. That takes you down through Brad Bennett, Derek Lynch, Reggie Ruggiero, Gigi Gravel, Dave Branscombe, Carlton Roby, Raleigh McDonald, and Jeff Spraker. Those cars are on the lead lap. One lap back, Joe Bessie, Jeff Berry, Brian Ross, Fordy, Gaeta, Preston Swanson, Thiel, Penfold, Sullivan, McRae, and Bodine are a lap or more. Those are all one lap down as we get back through there. And Butler and Spencer, Dugan, and Beaver Dragon in the garage area. In Ted Christopher's car, it's a little bit damp, and we'll be right back.